Okay, good evening, everyone. So in the last class, we discussed about the Amazon machine image, right? Creating our own custom Amazon machine image. Okay. So today we will discuss about user data of EC2 instance. So in the last session or before on Friday or so, we installed some web server, right? On a Linux machine, we installed a web server. So how we installed that? First, we created one EC2 instance, and then we installed all the required softwares and everything, right? But here, by using this user data, we can automate some set of instructions. Like we can execute some set of commands automatically at the time of creating the EC2 instance. So in that last session, first thing, we created one EC2 instance, right? And then we installed the web server, like software we installed. And then we did some kind of a configurations, right? And then we created some data. This is what we have done in the creation of a website. So by using this user data, we can automate all these actions at the time of creating the EC2 instance itself. This user data is also called as a bootstrap scripts. The first thing is, by using this user data, we can automate the post EC2 instance, what we call that? We can automate the steps or tasks post EC2 instance creation. So whatever is our requirement, we can provide all the requirements as a user data or bootstrap script, so that those commands will be automatically executed once the EC2 instance got created. So no need to manually log in and no need to, what we call that, no need to install or no need to configure. Everything will be automatically done. So this user data is also called as bootstrap script. Whatever the scripts you provide, they will be executed at the time of booting. What is the meaning of a booting? Like a kind of the startup for the first time. Once the operating system got installed, the next phase will be booting the operating system, right? While the operating system is getting booted, at the time, these scripts will be automatically executed. So let us take the example of creating a website. So what are the steps we have to do after the instance creation? What are the steps first we have to do? Let us take the example of hosting a simple website. Linux EC2 instance. So here the first step will be, what is the first step we have done once the instance got created? We have updated the repository, right? What is the command we have used? What is the command we have done? Yum space update. But as we are executing all the things as a EC2-user, for every command we have used a sudo as a prefix. And once we have done that, we install HTTPD web server, right? And then we started the HTTPD server. Start the HTTPD service. And then we configured the HTTPD service to be started automatically. And then what is the next one we have done? Created the index.html web page. These are the steps we have done manually, right? Now, by using this user data, we are going to execute all these steps automatically. Because Amazon don't know what to execute, so we have to provide all the instructions as user data. And we are executing all these things in the Linux machine, right? In the Linux, we have a different shells available, bash shell, okay, and user shell. There are different things. Generally, all these commands will be executed in the bash shell. So that we can use in this way. What is the user's data or the script? How we have to do is, while creating the EC2 instance, we have to attach one script, like all the instructions we have to provide as a user data. That will looks like this one. First step will be like this. That means whatever the commands we are going to write, that will be executed into the bash shell. Now, what is the first command? What is the first step we have to do? Update the repository. What is the command for the updating the repository? Yum update. So once the instance got created, automatically this command will be executed on your EC2 instance. So then what is the next command we have to include in the user data? Sudo yum install httpd. Okay. So now if I do this, it will be installed or not? Installed. Okay. So manually, whenever we executed that command, what happened? The software get installed. Are you sure? Whenever you execute this command, it will ask you that, would you like to install it or not, right? So there will be different options like Y, yes, N, no. Like who will provide that Y? Because there will be input, right? We have to provide that input as yes. Otherwise, it cannot proceed further. So as a command, how can we provide that particular input parameter like yes? We have to use -y. Sorry. So that whenever it asks an input, this Y will be taken as an input. Y stands for yes. So no need to manually type Y and no need to enter, no need to press enter. So that this install command will be executed by taking the yes as an input. Okay, then what is the next command? What is the next step? We have to start the service, right? Okay. So to start the service, what is the command? There is no yum. Yum is only to install or uninstall the service. Service httpd start. While you are executing this command, is it asking like to enter yes or no? No. So no need to provide -y. And then what is the next command? Status is just to check the status, right? But why we have done is to make sure that the service got started or not, just manually we use that command called status. But here not required. So chk config httpd on. What it will do is it will configure this httpd service to be started automatically. Okay, right. So up to here we are done. Then this part, how to do that? How to do that? How can we create an index.html? Because we can say that vi space index.html, that will create the file, but who will type the data into that file, and who will press like escape, shift colon, WQ? There are a lot of inputs, right? So how to do that? Or let us say, assume that there is one file. Do you guys know any command that we can insert some data into file? Okay, let us say you are using some kind of a C program or something. How can you print the output? Generally, that is not required. Generally, how can we insert some data? We know like printf command is there, right? Printf command will print the output. In the same way here, what we have to do is to first thing, to which direct or to which file we have to enter the data? Index.html file, right? In that we have to use some data, and that file to be in which place? /var www/html/index.html, right? Okay. If I open my laptop, I mean Linux computer, anywhere, if I do this, what will happen? What is the meaning of this command? What is the meaning of this command? Let us say right now I am in a folder called /home directory. In that directory, if I execute this command, what will happen? File to be created, right? Vi is to file to be created. In which location the file will be created? Directly in this particular location, the file will be created. If you give the full path, automatically the file will be created in that particular location. No need to do cd space and all the things. If you don't give this selected one, in whatever the location I am in that particular location, the file will be created. So automatically the file will be created in the required folder only. But we have to do something like the data to be inserted automatically at the time of creation. Because in the automation, there is no user input available manually. That has to be done automatically. So what we do is, this is the command. So whatever you write before that, that will be automatically inserted into this particular file. If the file is not available, the new file will be created, and whatever you write here, that will be automatically inserted into the index.html file in this particular location. What I do is, so I can say, I will say web page created using bootstrap script. This is the content I would like to display in the home page. So does this automatically insert? It requires some command also, right? Directly it will not do that. So do you guys know the command called echo? What is the meaning of echo? It will display something, or the same command we can use to insert the data into a file. Here also, as we are creating a new file, we have to use this command. What this command will do is, first thing, this command will create index.html in this directory, and whatever you mention in the codes, that data will be inserted into this particular index.html page. Instead of echo, you can use printf also. Instead of echo, you can use printf also. What it will do, it will print this particular statement into this particular file, which is in this particular location. There are different commands. Whatever you feel comfortable, you can use that. So we have to copy this entire user data into the bootstrap script at the time of creating the EC2 instance. Let us say if I miss this part, what will happen? At this particular step, it will wait for the input, and after some time it gets failed, and only just your EC2 instance will be created. No other things will not be processed. This will be executed successfully. But from here, no other command will be executed. The script will be stopped and it will come outside of that particular script. Okay. And generally, nowadays, no one is using this user data. But sometimes in the certification, if they ask you like, what is user data? We must know what is this user data concept is. Okay. Right. So to avoid the unnecessary spaces and all the things, I will remove the spaces, additional spaces. Let me use in a single line so that it will be clear. So we have to copy this script into the user data field at the time of creating the EC2 instance. Okay, so we are going to create one EC2 instance using the user data. Create Linux EC2 instance in Northern Virginia region using the above mentioned user data. Okay, so here what I have to mention is this EC2 instance is going to host a website, right? So whatever the website is going to run on this EC2 instance, that website to be accessible by anybody from anywhere across the globe. So what is the operating system first? Linux operating system. So then we have a web server. In the security group, what ports we have to open? What are the ports we have to open in the security group? Or first we have to identify what kind of what kind of access we need to enable. As it is a Linux machine, the first thing is remote login to Linux EC2 instance must be enabled, right? So for which port we have to open that? Which port? Okay, so to log into the Linux, which protocol we have to use? SSH protocol. For Linux, it is a SSH. SSH stands for secure shell. On which port it is running? 22 port. So we have to open the 22 port. If you don't open the 22 port, you cannot log into the Linux machine. And then the website is running, right? The website is running. So to allow everybody to access the website, which is running in your EC2 instance, what ports we have to open? First thing, on which protocol the website is running? HTTP and HTTPS. So what are the port numbers? 80 and 443. So in this Linux EC2 instance, we have to attach a security group which will allow these three protocols from anywhere. And 22 is not required to be opened from anywhere. You can open the 22 port at least from my IP address. But this 80 and 443 to be opened from everywhere. Why? Because we don't allow everybody to log into the Linux computer, right? Only I have to log in, or only your administrators has to log in. But the website, you will not ask every user to come to your office to access the website, right? That is the reason always 80 and 443 ports to be open from anywhere across the globe. So whatever the security group we are going to attach this EC2 instance, that must be opened the 22 port from anywhere and 80 and 443 ports from anywhere. Already we have two security groups with these protocols, right? What are those? We have one thing called Linux SSH, and the second one is web server. In your account, you might be created with the different names, but we have to focus on what ports we have to open. 22 from anywhere, and here we open 80 and 443 from anywhere. So these two security groups will fulfill our requirements, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to create one EC2 instance. While creating the EC2 instance, we are going to attach this user data, and we are going to attach these two security groups to our EC2 instance. So that once the EC2 instance got created, automatically the software's configuration and the web page will be created. And without logging into your EC2 instance, you can access the website. Okay, so let us see like how to do that. So this is our Amazon account. What I do is let us navigate to the EC2 service first. Let us navigate to the EC2 service. And just I will click on the instances on the left side. The process will be the same, but at the end, we have to attach that user data script. You can use anything, like you can install some MySQL database software, or you can install some your own software. Whatever you would like to have, just you have to update the command according to that software. Okay, then click on launch instances. So what I do is I will use a name as user data. Just scroll down, and instead of going to the browse more AMIs, because in the quick start, I can see the Amazon Linux here. So I will select the Amazon Linux operating system, and instance type to be t2.micro, key pair name Northern Virginia. And if I don't click on edit, and if I proceed, what will happen? Earlier we clicked on edit and we selected different options, right? What are that? Network, subnet, like availability zone, all the things. In this case, if you don't click on edit and if you proceed further, in this particular network, your EC2 instance will be created. But right now we have only one network, no need to worry. But the subnet, here you can see no preference. So your EC2 instance will be created in one of the existing 6 availability zones. In any availability zone, the EC2 instance can be created. And what is the public IP? Enable. So public IP will be assigned automatically. So under the firewall is nothing but a security group. Instead of creating a new security group, I will select existing security group. And from the drop down, I will select web server and I will select Linux SSH. You can see there are two security groups attached to the EC2 instance. This Linux SSH will allow the remote login to the Linux computer over SSH protocol, and this web server security group will allow website access from anywhere across the globe. And scroll down here, you can go with a single hard disk, which is 8 GB. And how many instances you need to create? If you need 2 instances, you can select 2. Then scroll down, and where we have to attach that user data, because there is no such option exists, right? For that, we have to click on advanced details. Click on the advanced details and just scroll down to the bottom. And here you can see one option called user data, and just copy paste that commands. And make sure that there is no additional spaces or something. Before that, ensure that there is no extra space or something, because if there is some extra space or something, it will be considered as a wrong command. Okay. So whenever we are doing the copy paste, we have to be more careful. Even you are copying the passwords also. Okay. So once you copy the data, what will happen here is, once the EC2 instance got created, automatically these commands will be executed in this particular shell. Linux will have a different shells. Every command to be executed in the bash shell only. That's why we are mentioning that at the top. Then just scroll down and click on launch instance. So definitely it will take some extra time, like 1 minute or so, because instance, let us say that if the EC2 instance is getting created in 2 minutes, to execute all the commands, it might take like half minute or 1 more minute extra. It depends on, like, generally the internet will be good because that is in the Amazon, right? So we are using very few commands, and what other software we are downloading, that is just like 1 MB or so. So quickly that will be done. Just wait till the EC2 instance got created. And even I don't want to log into the instance. Directly I will check whether the website is running or not. Okay. So here just click on this refresh button to see the newly created EC2 instance. And instance state is running and status check is initializing. So just wait till it is green. If it is green, then we can say that our EC2 instance is successfully up and running with all the services which got installed. If you can see, initializing means some services are getting started in the backend, or some process is going on in the backend. Just wait for 1 minute. And how to access the website? By using the public IP address, right? So just copy the public IP and hit enter. And we have to see that whatever the content we have typed there. What if I don't see the web page? You can see it is trying to load, but still there is no web page is loading. What might be the reason? What might be the reason? First thing, we might have used the wrong commands. The second thing, maybe security group, right? And the third thing, only mostly these two will be the problems. One is the user data might be wrong, and the second one will be the security group issue. But we know the security group is correct, right? Earlier we have used that. So what we do is, always it is recommended till you get the status checks is green. If not, we can assume that still the process is going on in the backend. So we'll wait for like 1 more minute, and then we will go there and just we will refresh the page. Okay. Okay, once again, I think, do you observe anything here? I missed that one. Like, to explain, I removed that Y part, right? So that's why I guess the process got stuck here. Just to explain, I removed the Y and forget to replace that. So that is the problem. Okay. So now what I do is, so there is no use of this instance because it will be created without that user data, because we have used the wrong user data. Launch instances. Let us go with one more instance. So quickly I will do that. Whatever the process we have done, that is correct. Just I copied the wrong user data. So whatever the steps you have noted down, that is the correct one. No need to change anything. Okay, let me recopy it. Okay, so it seems no additional spaces. Update, but here also we need to have a Y, right? Update also we need a Y. Even if you remember, whenever you type sudo space space update, it will ask you for the confirmation. If there is a updates available. If there is no updates, it will not ask you anything. But by any chance, if there is an update, it will ask you for the confirmation. So here also, this is the wrong one. So we have to use -Y for these two. Okay. Now let me create it, launch instance. What if it is a Windows computer? What if that is a Windows computer? We have to use Windows related commands like batch script will be there, right? That commands we have to type. But nowadays, no one is using these things because they do have advanced tools available to install and all the things. By using some kind of infrastructure as a code and all the things, the DevOps team will manage all these concepts. But theoretically, you must know like what is user data and how can we provide these kind of user data scripts at the time of creating the user data. So now you can see it is running. So this is the IP address. What do you think now? Now, is it going to work or still any issues? Have we missed any command here? No. So automatically it got installed. So even we didn't log into the EC2 instance also, right? Okay. So now, let us say this was created by some other user like 1 year back. So someone asked you like, what is the user data attached to this particular EC2 instance? So how can we check? How to see what is the user data attached to this EC2 instance at the time of creating this particular instance? Is there any way that we can check? Yes, we can check in two different ways. There are two different ways to check the user data. How to check the user data provided to an EC2 instance? The one is using the browser, and the second one is by login to the EC2 instance. Let us say I am the administrator and I have a browser access, so I can check by using the browser also. Let us say you have given that Linux server to one of your users for some testing purpose or something, and they don't have access to the console, right? They don't have any Amazon account. So how can they see that what is the user data available on this computer? That is only possible by login to that EC2 instance. So let us see the first using the browser. Let us see first how to check the user data of any EC2 instance using the browser. So go to your EC2 instance service and select the EC2 instance. Go to actions. Which one? Which one? not view details. Click on instance settings. Click on instance settings. If you click on view details, that will show you these details only. Whatever you can see here, only that details will be displayed. Okay, click on actions and click on instance settings. And here you can see one option called edit user data. But you cannot edit at the time of EC2 instance is running. Click on that and you can see this is the user data. Easiest way, right? But important thing is they might ask you about how to check by login to the EC2 instance. For that, there is one option called user data URL. User data URL. So to check the user data of any EC2 instance, we have to use the below URL from that instance only. What is the meaning of that? If I use that URL in my laptop, it will not show any user data. You have to log into that EC2 instance and you have to use one URL in that particular EC2 instance. The URL will be http://169.254.169.254. This will be a kind of a certification question, or sometimes it will be like a kind of interview question also. 169.254 and then latest/user-data. If you execute this particular URL, if you try to access this URL from that EC2 instance, then you can get the user data of that particular EC2 instance. If it is a Windows computer, we can log into the Windows computer and you can open the Internet Explorer or any favorite browser and you can get this particular URL can be accessed. But what about the Linux computer? If I log into the Linux machine, we will not get any browser, right? Without having a browser, how to access this URL? Without having a browser, how can we access any URL, website URL? This looks like a website URL, right? Without having a browser, how to access any website? What is the one? Definitely we have to use some command, right? What might be the command? Okay, so have you ever downloaded any file using a command from the website? Okay, so do you guys know about a command called wget? No. Okay, so if you are trying to download something, that particular file will have some kind of a URL, right? That is called as a download URL. Next time, whenever you're trying to download, copy that particular file URL and open your command prompt or something and type wget space URL. That file will be downloaded using the command. In the same way, without downloading, how to access a web page? Again, there must be some command, right? What is the command? Do you know about this command? Call. This curl command will be used to access any website using the command prompt. You can use curl space google.com. It will give you the information about that google.com web page in the command prompt. You might not be able to see all the images and everything, but whatever the text is available, that text will be displayed. So in this case, if you would like to check the user data of any Linux EC2 instance, you have to log into the Linux computer and you have to execute this command in that particular Linux EC2 instance. So now what I do is, let me log into that Linux EC2 instance first. How to log in? How to log into the Linux machine? I mean, which tool we have to use? What is the tool we have to use? Putty tool. Okay. Then what are the requirements? We need the public IP, we need the username, and we need a private key. Because in the Linux, by default, you cannot log in using the password. Already we generated the private key in the first session, right? And the same key pair I am using for all the machines. So the same private key will work. So what I do is on the left side, expand the SSH and select authentication. And this is the place where you have to upload your private key file. Click on browse and select your private key. Let me increase the size. And then click on open. Now it will ask you to enter the username. What is the username? EC2-user. So I logged in. So what is the command to access the URL? This is the command to get the user data of that particular EC2 instance. Click enter. And is this the user data we have provided? So this is how you can get. So you have to remember this URL. This is called as user data URL. The selected one is called as user data URL. What is user data? User data contains some set of instructions to be executed after the EC2 instance creation automatically. Whatever the data you provided as a user data, that data will be executed automatically after the EC2 instance creation. Okay. So do you guys ever heard about a term called metadata? What is metadata means? What is the metadata? Data about data. That's correct. But what is the meaning of the data about data? What it contains? What is the data about data? There's a general term, right? Not only on the AWS. Wherever you go, you can hear the term called metadata. So metadata is nothing but data about data, right? So what is the data about data means? So here you can see there is one file, right? So this file will have some metadata. What that metadata contains is the information about the file, like what is the type of the file and at what date it was created, what is the size of the file, format of the file, on which date it was created, what is the last modified date. That information will be available in metadata, but the file contains the actual data, right? Whatever the data you have, that data will be maintained by the file, and the file's information will be available in the metadata. Metadata is nothing but data about the data. If you take an example of, let us say, the file.txt, just an example. So what is the metadata of this particular file is, metadata contains the format of the file, format or type of the file, name of the file, size of the file, creation date, and last modified date. This is the example of the metadata. Now, coming to the EC2 instance metadata, what that contains. What is this EC2 instance metadata? Generally, the EC2 instance will contain all your requirements like your applications and all the things. The metadata of an EC2 instance maintain the information about your EC2 instance. What kind of information? It will maintain the information about the EC2 instance. What kind of information it will be? Public IP address, private IP address, then okay, if there is an elastic IP, what is the elastic IP? Then it will have some kind of a host name. Every server will have a name, right? Even if your laptop will have a name, right? Which is called as computer name, and technically we can call it as a host name. And then in which region it is, what is the availability zone, or in which subnet it was created, and which AMI is used to create that EC2 instance. Every such kind of information will be available in metadata. The example is the region of the EC2 instance, like in which region it was created, and availability zone, in which availability zone it was created, and IP address, AMI, Amazon machine image, host name, and if there is any such any other informations like security group, all this information will be maintained using the metadata. Now, how to check that metadata? Again, here there will be a URL to access the metadata, right? The metadata URL will be the same URL, 169.254.169.254 slash latest slash meta dash data. Sorry. Just instead of user dash data, you have to use meta dash data. If it is a Windows EC2 instance, you can log into your Windows instance and you can open any browser and you can type this URL. If it is a Linux, then the same command we have to use, which is curl space the command. So if I execute this command, automatically it will displace all the information. No, it will ask you that which information you would like to see. Let me show that. So this is our computer, right? This is our Windows Linux EC2 instance. So let me paste the command metadata URL. If I click enter, it will ask you like that. It is showing a lot of information, right? What is the first information? AMI ID. By using which AMI ID it is displaying. So now how to check that? After metadata slash AMI dash ID. Wait, I did something wrong. What is the command? AMI dash ID. Okay. Wait a second. AMI dash ID, right? AMI dash ID. Wait. Why it is showing error? Wait a second. Or let me go with something else. Public dash IP4. Something got pressed. It seems page not found. Okay, here's the typing. It's a typo error, right? This is the command. Meta slash data. Then you have to use public dash IP version 4. This is the public IP. I don't know what happened with my keyboard. If I am trying to edit, it is taking some wrong values, some random characters it is taking. So this is the metadata. If you type metadata, it will give you all these details, like what are the eligible options and everything. So then after the metadata slash, you have to give the name. Let us say if you would like to check the instance type, what type of instance it is. See here slash, where is the instance type? This is the one, right? Instance dash type. What is the instance type? T2.micro. And then what security groups was attached? Let me type that also. Security dash groups. You can see there were two security groups attached, web server and Linux SSH. And then what is this local IP4? Local IPv4. Let us check that also. What is that local dash IPv4? Any guess what might be it is? What is this one? What is that IP address? Private IP. So local IPv4 will give you the private IP, and the public dash IPv4 will give you the public IP address. So here, what is this instance ID? What it will gives you? Every EC2 instance will have some kind of an ID, right? Which is called as instance ID, which is unique across the globe. We can identify your EC2 instances using the names, but Amazon will identify using the instance ID, which is called as EC2 instance ID. So this metadata will contains the information about your EC2 instance. It doesn't contain the information about like what data is available, like what files you created in the EC2 instance. It only maintains the information about the EC2 instance. What type of EC2 instance it is, in which region it is, or public IP, private IP, host name, security groups. Every information about the instance will be displayed. Let's say here I have a laptop, right? So you can see what is the brand and what is the IP address it is. These are called as like information about your computer. In the same way, the EC2 instance metadata contains the information about your EC2 instance. User data. User data is a kind of a scripts which will be executed automatically at the time of EC2 instance creation. If I scroll up, we have used this as a user data. Once the EC2 instance got created, all these commands got installed automatically without any manual execution. If you do any wrong command, the script will be stopped over there and it will not continue further with other commands. We can say that the script will fail. The user data will get failed to execute all the commands. Just for example, I took these commands and you can use any commands to do that. But in the olden days, there is an option like, I think in the next coming few days or few years, this user data option might be removed. Because at the time of creating, there is no other option we have, right? I will show you. In the advanced details, this is the one, right? Earlier, we used to have to attach the files also. Instead of typing the commands, directly you can attach the scripts, .bat files or .sh files also. They removed such options here. But in the future, they might remove this, or they might, what we call that, improve to attach the softwares also. Like directly you can upload one software here, windows.exe, so that the software might be installed automatically. So all they might introduce or not, we are not sure, but as of now, there is no such option exists. Always this user data is useful with Linux machines only. Let us say if you would like to install some software in the Windows, then you have to write the script like from where the software to be downloaded. And then you have to write a script like click on next, accept the license agreement, right? For everything, you have to write the script, which is not that much easy. So that's why no one will use this user data unless it is a Linux computer. And apart from this, we have a more advanced features to install all the things. Generally, that will be taken care by the DevOps team. They will create some kind of a templates, and the EC2 instances will be created using that kind of infrastructure as a code. So automatically using the template, the EC2 instance will be created, all the softwares to be installed automatically, and they will be joined into some kind of domains. Everything will be automated. Because they do have some advanced versions, they don't use this user data kind of a thing. But metadata is almost like every time that is useful. Let us say one developer is working on that particular EC2 instance. And for the configuration purpose, they would like to know what is the public IP or what is the private IP. Or to check that the performance is not good, and they would like to check what is the instance type. Instead of asking the admin team all the time, they can use that particular metadata to get all the details about the EC2 instance. Okay, right. So this is about the user data and metadata. This is the last leftover topic on the EC2. Okay, and still we have one more concept left, like the important thing. What is the important thing for any server or anything? Let us say you are working for a company, and in your office you have only one server. In that, the website is running and most important data is getting stored into that server. What is the most important step you will consider to perform on that server? What is the most important thing you can feel? Keeping that website is running, keeping that aside. What is the other one most important thing? Okay, let us say you went for some trip and you got some images, right? So you feel that that is very important for you, right? Because if you lose that photos, you cannot get those photos back. What you do to make those photos or images to be safe and secure? You will maintain a backup, right? So instead of maintaining the data in a single server or in your laptop, you can copy them into some internet like Google Drive or something, or you can maintain that in a pen drive or external hard drive. You will maintain multiple copies of that particular data, right? In the same way, for any production servers, backups are most important. What does that mean by? Do we need to create the backups on a daily basis? Like manually, do we need to create the backup? You can, but that is not the recommended way, right? If it is only one server, I can do. What if you have like 100 servers? You cannot create the manual backups every day manually, right? So for that, we have a concept called automated snapshots. But to discuss about that automated snapshots, we have to complete one more topic called elastic block store. In the backups, what we will take as a backup? The storage concept, right? But still, we haven't discussed about the storage. What type of storage we will use with the EC2 instance? What are the different types of storages? That we have to cover in the topic called elastic block store. That we will start in the tomorrow's session, elastic block store. During that elastic block store, once we discuss about the different types, characteristics, and everything, we will focus on the backups, like how to create a manual backup, automated backups. At that point of time, we will see how can we create an automated backup of your EC2 instances. Okay, right. So keeping that elastic block store topic aside, on this entire EC2, are you guys clear or any questions? I hope during the weekend you guys might have practiced the things. So have you got any errors or any issues while you're doing the practicals? If you have faced any issues, let me know so that I can get you like some kind of clarity on those issues. Might be the question might be very basic thing. That's not an issue because everybody at the starting stage, right? Even you might have overlooked the very basic things also. That's not a problem. If you have any kind of a questions on the EC2, just you can ask me. Or how many of you not yet started the practice? If anybody not yet started, just start with the creation of the account and try to go with some small steps. Like no need to complete all the things at a day on a single day. Just start with one task a day and try to understand whatever you're doing the practical. Just don't try to complete all the practicals on a single day. Even if it takes more days, that's not an issue. But whatever you're doing, try to understand that, like why you are doing that. And because of that, what will happen? Okay. Right. If you have any questions, you can ask me. And if you're clear, you guys can leave. We can continue tomorrow. Any questions? Okay, మీరే అడిగింది క్వశ్చన్. విండోస్ పనిచేస్తుంది ప్రాబ్లం. పర్లేదు ప్రాబ్లం. అదే ప్రాబ్లం. అవసరం అవసరం. ఇది ర్యామ్ 4 GB అయితే 4 GB అయితే తక్కువ. అవసరం మీరు మన ల్యాప్టాప్లో ఏం చేయరు కదా. అవును, కానీ మీ ల్యాప్టాప్లో మీరు ఏం ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయరు, అంతా బ్రౌజర్లోనే ఉంటుంది కదా. ఎస్ఎస్డి ఏం అవసరం లేదు. కేసు మీరు డెవాప్స్ అలా ఏమైనా చేసుకుంటే అవసరం తప్ప చేస్తారు. AWS అయితే మీ ల్యాప్టాప్లో యూజ్ చేయండి. టూల్స్ వాడతాం. ఓకే, కదా చిప్స్లో ఉంటుంది, మీ ల్యాప్టాప్లో చేయగలరు. లేదంటే మీరు AWSలో కూడా చేసుకోవచ్చు. అక్కడ ప్రాక్టీస్ ల్యాబ్లో లైనెక్స్ లేదన్నారా? లేదంటే మీరు ఈసీటీలో చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఫాస్ట్గా కూడా అవుతుంది. అందులో అంటే మీరు ఓఎస్ ఇన్స్టలేషన్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి. మిగిలిన కమాండ్స్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ అన్ని సపోర్ట్ చేస్తారు. మేబీ సపోర్ట్ చేయగలనుకుంటా, చెక్ చేయాలి. మిగిలిన టాపిక్స్ అయితే there are a lot of web servers. There are a lot of web servers. Out of those, just we are using it. There is one software which provides a web server. We have a lot of web servers available, like Apache, Tomcat. That's the smallest one. That's why we are using it. Red Hat, right? Okay, AWS. Okay, versions.
సెలెక్ట్ చేసి
Opt into the new experience.
అక్కడ దాంట్లో 7 ఆప్షన్స్ వస్తాయి.
స్విచ్ చేసుకోండి. అది కొంచెం కన్ఫ్యూజన్. డేటా ఏం లేకపోతే కొంచెం ఫార్మాట్ చేసుకోండి. ఇది పాతదంటే హార్డ్ డిస్క్ ఇష్యూ ఉండదు. మాక్సిమం హార్డ్ డిస్క్ ఇష్యూ ఉండదు. స్లో ఉంది, ఒకసారి ఫార్మాట్ చేసుకోండి సరిపోతుంది. లేదంటే హార్డ్ డిస్క్ చేంజ్ చేసుకోవాలి. AWSకి అయితే అవసరం లేదు. వేరే ఇంకా దేనికైనా కావాలంటే చేంజ్ చేసుకోవాలి. అయితే అవసరం లేదు. జస్ట్ యూఐ మీకు బ్యాక్ అండ్ సర్వర్ సేమ్ ఉంటుంది. ఆప్షన్స్ మారిపోతుంది. ఆప్షన్స్ కొంచెం కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఉంటుంది. లైక్ దట్స్ వై ఐ సెడ్ లైక్ యూజ్ న్యూ. డిఫాల్ట్ గా ఇలా వచ్చి ఉంటుంది, రైట్? సో జస్ట్ యూ కెన్ ఆప్ట్ ఇంటు ద న్యూ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. ఆప్ట్ ఇంటు ద న్యూ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. జస్ట్ క్లిక్ ఆన్ ఆప్ట్ ఇంటు ద న్యూ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. ఎందుకంటే ఓల్డ్ యూఐ అనేది ఆఫ్టర్ ఫ్యూ మంత్స్ సెక్యూరిటీ it's incoming request. Let us say your in my institute's website is running. Let us say you are hosting, you are creating an EC2 instance, that website is running. So I am trying to access the website which is running in your EC2 instance. So that is traffic coming to your EC2 instance. Now, just I am sending the traffic like a request. I am sending a request to access your website. That is called as a traffic. That is incoming traffic for your EC2 instance, right? So the traffic is coming on which protocol? The website access. What is the HTTP? So that traffic or add to, right? So don't know the port network, just type the port network. Automatically the port network. That is log into the Linux. Only for Linux login. Want to log into the Linux instance? SSH web server website is HTTP or HTTP. Wherever you host a website, the website will run on PTP port. सारा इंफॉर्मेशन आता है इसी के बारे में वहां से समझते हैं सिस्टम बेसिक मैं ये तो पूछना जैसे AWS के लिए क्या AWS that is one compulsory. Once you start working, Linux को सर ये सारा Linux का जो है ये तो सभी होता होगा तो बस इसी को AWS to learn AWS Linux is not mandatory, not required. To learn AWS Linux is not required. But when you start working on AWS company, what a job. The company they might use Linux service, right? So they might ask you just to create one file in a server. This is required. But DevOps interview everything. क्या वो लाइव नहीं करोगे? The validity is for 3 years. Let's say today you pass the exam, the certificate is valid for the 3 years. After that you have to renew. Again you have to do the exam. Sir, उसके पहले आप नहीं कर सकते. Fail the exam. You can write after 24 hours. Let's say today you attend the exam, you are failed. So next day you can again register. You have to register. बहुत ज़्यादा डर हुआ कि इस बार लेकर था क्योंकि मैंने बोला केशोर में 2 टाइम एग्जाम दे सकते हैं और एक तरह से बहुत दैट full life. Pass the exam. The certificate is valid for 3 years. After 3 years, the certificate is invalid. The certificate will expire. Sir, SA करने के लिए किसी के थ्रू जाते हैं. अभी अपना एड्रेस पर अलग होता है इसका स्टार्टिंग. SA Solutions Architect Associate. That is what we are going to do. That certification, that is the most popular certification right now. Whatever the topics required for the certification, every topic will be covered. Every topic, what are the topics we discuss, that is enough for the lecture. SAACCO2. तो सर ये जो एग्जाम होता है ऐसा रहता है 4 सही कर दिया 4 is right. Whatever you write correct, only for that marks will be added. That's wrong marks will get points. सर्टिफिकेट कर लेते हैं. सर्टिफिकेट करने के बाद से हमें जॉब मिल जाए. Certification is just advantage. Certificate is no guarantee that definitely you will get a job. Without certification also you will get a job. Certification is not bad. मैं तो सुना था कि एक गेटवे है जब तक आप निकाल नहीं तब तक आपको सर्वर certificate will be advantage. Like there are 10 people, if you are the only one who certified, they will give you some priority. What class level होता है? They will give some priority. Sir, और कैसे?
Hello.
Yes, I
Hello,
can.
Fani.
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Hi, Fani. Thanks
Yeah.
for unmuting.
Yeah.
So, Fani, actually, I'm Sumant. I know, I mean, I'm also new to AWS, but I'm also looking for a certification to write a certification
Mhm.
along with course continue. So, is there anything like, any help would that you could provide, or the training will be on the
Yeah, whatever the
certificate?
training whatever the topics we are going to cover, that will help you to get certified. And just to get some overview of that, like I can share some kind of a practice questions. I don't call
Okay.
them as a dumps. So practice questions will be like that will give you some kind of overview, like how the exam will be and what kind of questions you will get and all the things.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that would be really helpful,
Yeah,
Fani. Thank you
definitely
so
I will
much.
do that. I will share those questions.
So while we go through the topic, will you share
Yeah,
end of
if
the
you want to go through that, I can share you, no issues. But always I recommend to complete at least 70% of the topics before giving a certification exam,
okay, okay.
because
Yeah, yeah.
every
I mean,
topic is required. Yeah,
yeah, every topic is required. So I just want to double check, like, okay,
sure.
topic wise, you will give a that kind of
All
overview
right. I will
to
do one thing.
complete
Like
the
I will
topic.
share you one. Like I will share in the drive with one PDF document, which is
Mm-hmm.
purely like a kind of certification kind of a guide.
Okay,
So
okay,
whenever we
okay.
are done with one topic, just you can go through that book and you can go through the terms, terminology, and everything. If you have any
Mm-hmm.
questions on that, just you can ask me on the same day or the next day, right? I think that might help you.
Right, sure, sure.
Yeah,
And on
I will.
the yeah, thanks, Mani. So on the EC2s, right? I know I mean there are different types, on demand, spot
Yep.
instance and all. So when you explained there are no scenarios like when do we go for on demand or when we go
On
for like
demand, like most of the time, we will use the on demand. Like if you don't know like what is your requirement, how many days you
Mhm.
need that server, 90% we will use the on demand. The
So
spot
any
instance is like for short-term loads. Like let us say you don't. Let us say you have a requirement, and if the instance got deleted while you are doing something, if it will not impact your business, in that case, we have to use the spot instances. Like in the EC2 first session, we discussed about the use cases of all the three types: on-demand, spot, and reserved instance. The spot
oh
instances are not for what we call that production purpose or a development
production
purpose. They are
development.
not for those things because we don't know like when they will be deleted.
Okay, right, yeah, correct. Yeah, so okay, maybe what I heard from my friends is okay, the certification towards like only scenario based questions, and we need to define,
Yes,
hey, okay, which would be
scenario based
suitable for this
questions, right?
scenario. Um,
90% of the questions will be scenario based questions. So scenario
mhm.
based questions will be like they will give you one like use one kind of a scenario, and you have to find out the solution for that, like what kind of service to be used.
Right, yeah.
So let us say they would like to store some kind. We are not yet done with that particular topic. So
Okay.
we have like 100 GB of data, which is not frequently accessed, and the company wants to minimize the storage cost. So what kind of storage option you have to select? That is the
Mm,
example of the scenario-based question.
okay.
Okay.
So maybe around the EC2 also same. Okay, they
Yeah,
might
around
be
EC2 also the
thinking of
same thing. Like
okay.
they might ask you like there is like a high-end processing thing, like some kind of a tool which is going to run every day, like 1 hour, and which will not impact if the like job got interrupted, but the company wants to reduce the compute cost. The meaning of
Mm,
that is there is one application which has to run like 1 hour in a day, which will use like huge compute resources like 64 CPU or 100 CPU, something else. And while it is running, if it got interrupted, I mean the job is got interrupted, it will not a problem for the company. They can easily restart the process again. So what kind of instance you have to select? So here the
okay.
thing is the company wants to reduce the compute cost, like EC2
Um,
instance cost.
right.
Definitely not reserved instance, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
So then EC2 and spot. because they
EC2.
mentioned that if the process got interrupted, it will not impact the business continuity, right? Because
So
of
then
that statement, you have to go for the spot instance.
spot instance,
Yeah.
right? Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
you have to understand every concept. Then the scenario based questions will be very easy, because that is not a kind of a troubleshooting questions.
Correct. Correct.
You will not get any kind of a troubleshooting questions in the associate level.
Okay. Okay.
So if you are good at the theoretical concepts and the practicals, it will be very easy to get certified on the solutions architect.
Okay, fine. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm also looking, I mean, yeah, I just need some help on that one,
Sure,
like, you know,
definitely. Yeah.
the documentation or any,
I will
while we
share, no
go
issues. Yeah.
cover topics, maybe couple of scenarios, hey, what kind of questions would come in the certification? I think that also helps. Maybe others,
sure.
for others also it might help.
Yeah, definitely. I will share those documents, no issues.
Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much, man. Thanks.
Okay. And yes, Pavan, you can unmute and you can ask the question.
Yes, sir. Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
I was just, dirtying my hands with the concept you shared today. I just hosted the website using the user data concept.
Okay. Mhm.
I was also trying to use this metadata concept, but one thing was always striking me, like what will be the real-time use case of metadata concepts in EC2
Metadata,
AWS?
right? Metadata, user data, there is no actual use case, frankly
Mm-hmm.
speaking. But for metadata, let us say you created one EC2 instance for a developer team. So definitely they
Okay.
don't have access to the console.
Yes, yes.
So
They will
if
have
they
only
want to check,
programmatic
yeah,
access.
right. No, not
Yeah.
programmatic access. Like they have login to the Linux server, just remote login to the instance. So they can install whatever they need. They will configure whatever they need. They will set up the environment in that server.
Okay.
So they want to check what is the IP address of that EC2 instance to configure some application or something.
Okay, for validation
Yes,
while
only.
configuring application, only that
Exactly.
time this metadata concept will be used.
Right. Apart from that, there is no special use case of that. But for
Okay.
certification, they might ask you about like what is the user data URL and metadata URL.
Okay.
And you should know like what the user data contains and what that metadata contains. Actually, those are outdated topics and no one will use those terms. But we should know the theoretical part.
Correct. So one more question on the EC2 functionality. So do we have any redirecting feature in EC2? Let's suppose for an example, we will be having server patchings, application, downtime will be
Right.
planned.
Yes.
So during the time for removing the user impact or business impact, we will be pointing one EC2 or one server to another server, so that the application will be available on other server, and meanwhile the
actually that's
production.
that's how the production infrastructure looks like.
Yeah.
So for that we have
that,
some kind of a load balancers.
Okay.
There is a concept called elastic load balancer.
Okay.
At the time you will get the concept. Like how it will be is, behind the load balancer there will be two web servers. I mean two web applications, not a website, web applications. So first what they do is they will do patching on one server and they will reboot it. While it is getting rebooted, all the users will be connected to the second website, web application. Once it come up, then they will do the second web server patching. That's how they will maintain the high availability.
Okay, so for routing the traffic and pointing out their own,
that will be taken care by the load balancer. Load balancer will provide the load balancing as well as a failover also to maintain the high availability.
Yeah. On this, I had a question. So, Acha, one more thing I wanted to know is all these services which are like S3, AKS, are these are also somewhere deployed in EC2 only, or
no? Those are different services.
Okay, and the infrastructure is also different for them, not like EC2.
Yeah, on the infrastructure we are creating the EC2.
Oh, okay. And all these other services are also like, for an example, if we want to, on a real time, out of cloud, on a real time, if we want to deploy some database, we will be using Windows or Linux machine.
Right.
So in the same thing, if we see the cloud services like the S3
RDS
or
S3 is not database. RDS is a database as a service.
Okay, so yeah, in RDS. So in that scenario, will in the background, what kind of platform it will be carrying on? Like Linux only, right?
Yeah,
Like EC2.
Linux. That depends on the database engine. We cannot see that. That will be maintained by Amazon. We cannot log into that operating system. Just they will provide you whatever the database you created. That's it. You cannot log into the backend operating system and everything. Definitely, if you
Okay.
go for MySQL, they will maintain on the Linux. If you go for
Hmm.
Microsoft SQL Server, definitely they will prefer. They have to install in Windows.
So in the backend, sir, in the real-time devices, if I
Mhm.
want to see exactly what platform they're using for you availing these services, I mean, for ensuring the availability of RDS service, can we know that? Do we have any architecture or
They do have
blueprint
some
of this?
kind of white papers. In that white
Okay.
papers, we can get all the details about each and every service, how they will maintain, what exactly they do for the high availability, and what kind of infrastructure they maintain. Everything will be
Mhm.
available in AWS white papers.
Oh, okay, okay. So, sir, going forward, are you going to show us the architecture of the services also in that manner?
Yes, wherever it is required, just I will show you that. Like there are few things for which we need that architecture, that
Hmm.
I will explain that how it will be maintained and all the things.
Yeah, yeah. By visualizing, it will be like we will be catching
Exactly.
it up.
Right. I know that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
So that's what I just wanted
Okay.
to ask about it. Thank you so much for
Okay.
this.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Anybody else? Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. Let's continue tomorrow.